Team Titans made our job very easier. My batchmates gave us a pretty good quick crash course on negotiation. So now myself and Pavana are going to concentrate on the particular part of the negotiation, which is win-win negotiation. So we are here to give a book review on the book Win-Win Negotiation Techniques by David Goldwich. So let's see about the author. David Goldwich, he's born in Miami, Florida. He practiced law in US for a decade. Now he's a reformed lawyer who is now committed to help people get what they want, like teaching them how to play the negotiation game and being assertive communicators and persuasive communicators. He's pretty much like a teacher now. So let's jump directly into the um, book. So chapter 1 is setting the stage. So what is negotiation? I'm pretty sure all of them know because Netra explained it very well. Negotiation is a way of satisfying our own interest of getting what you need. So why are we negotiating? We negotiate because we want something that we cannot get on our own. So that we negotiate to get what we want. So there are 4 possible outcomes: win, lose, 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 partial win, partial lose, win and win. So partial win, partial lose results in most common outcome, and win is the ideal outcome which doesn't exist or it is achieved so rarely. So you may think if it is ideal solution, why are we doing this? So this book is about we are going to achieve the ideal solution. So negotiation process. So negotiation process have steps. So first we have to prepare. Prepare what? We have to know what your interest is, what you're going to do negotiate about. So you have to assess what resources you have to do to show or do. So you have to prepare a strategy and tactics, and you have to know other parties' interest so that it should be merged. Your both interests should be merged. So second is information. You have to gather valuable and real data. So third is timing. Mostly you have to do negotiation just before the deadline. It can be one of the tactics so that maybe the opposite party can easily give in. So environment venue and seating combinedly is said as environment. Venue should be neutral territory like a restaurant or hotel conference room, like that. Seating should be on round table. um, it should be like formal setup. So team, what here team is, uh, you have to bring someone to support you. Always two heads are better than one, right? Yeah. So it's not good idea to bring the entire team, just one or two person just to support your offer or your side. So uh, you can see we live in a web of relationship and interdependencies, and we negotiate with others to help us get what we need or want. Negotiation is not only a business deal, it's our basic thing. It happens in daily life because we have everywhere relationships and we negotiate in daily life. For example, we negotiate with our siblings. You do these chores, I will do the dishes. That is also negotiation. Not only business thing is called negotiation. So chapter 2 is win-win mindset. If you want to achieve win-win, you have to have the mindset first. So there are 5 styles of negotiating. Um, so first one is avoiding. Avoiding is withdrawing. Avoider uh, avoids discussing concerns, issues, and he avoids the confrontation. He puts off negotiating whenever he can. So that is avoiding style. And accommodating style is self-sacrificing. I used focus it. If I'm doing accommodating style means I'm going to sacrifice my own interest just to make sure that to keep the deal. I focus only on the other party concern more than mine. I have to please other party so that can keep the deal. I follow other parties lead. So it is self-sacrificing. And third one is competing. Competing is fighting. This is, you may say this as the a dirty style, because exploiting other party's weakness is what fighting is. We may use threats, manipulation, dishonesty in the competing. We have to wear the other party down so that he will give in. And fourth one is compromising. Compromising is we split the differences. We used to believe in give and take. Both the party gets what they want. Seek solution in middle of range of middle, not extremes. Both should be equal. And collaborating. Collaborating is mutual problem solving. It's like we can deal openly, communicate effectively. You have to build the trust, and you can exchange the idea and information. We both concentrate on the values when you do in collaborating style. Compromising and collaborating are pretty much a healthy thing to do. So there are 5 traits of win-win negotiators. First, you have to ask question so that you can get more information, unknown information, and listen actively to get clarity. You have to empathize the offerer's emotional state. You have to consider. You can't just immediate rejection will be like insulting. So you have to consider it, and you have to explain them why you don't want. And you have to think creatively. Think creatively gives you can explore other options. So moving on to chapter 3, this is the most important topic of this book, negotiating tactics. There are 8 tactics, 8 tricks you can say. First one is flinch. You can see the flinching man here. It's a flinch face. So it's more like wincing. When we are in pain, we used to do it's like a flinch. You have to create doubt in mind of your other party. They have to think like it is unreasonable. We have to give some more reasonable without even speaking. You have to make them feel they are being unreasonable. It can help to retract their extreme offer and replace it with more reasonable one. Second one is reluctance. Reluctance is playing it cool. You have to play like hard to get. You are not so interested in this offer. You're just being dominant. You have to show. So if you show, automatically the other the offerer might think, oh, we have to come to his down. We have to increase our standard. So if other party does the flinch and reluctance, if you are in the counterpart, just explain. Don't just give in. Don't just do like giving the other deal. Just to explain why this deal is good. It is good because list the reasons. Then say him, these are the reasons why offered. It is reasonable. You have to stand for that. And third one is squeeze. Squeeze is pushback strategy. You have to listen to it silently, and then you have to say, you have to do better than this. This offer is not so much. You have to say like, we need to sharpen the pencil at some point. This is not going to working out like that. You have to you have to listen to them, and you have to say like that. So if you are in counterpart, just ask. Don't give in. Just ask why you are saying like that. Ask them reason. So fourth one is good guy and bad guy. We all seen in movies, right? One good guy and one bad guy will be there. It's like the same strategy. Here, bad guy is the one who is going to serve you. So you have to keep a bad guy with you. If the other party does have bad guy, so you have to have backup bad guy. That is your counterpart. You can't just go with one plan, right? You have to have plan B. So competition is you have to let him know that he has competition, that you are seeing other alternatives for him, and tell him that what makes him unique. Maybe you can say, oh, you have good reputation, that's why I selected you. We have 6 more companies lined up for this offer. You can say your quality is best when I used it. You can say some reasons. Tell, just let him know that what makes him unique, so that he might feel it's good to have. So sixth one is authority limits. You have to keep your hand tied. Like, don't just say for everything you're the. You have to say sometimes, I'm sorry, I don't have authority for it. Let me get to my manager and ask him what is it, or let me go back to my accountant. uh, in car showrooms, they this managers do that. Salesperson, if we ask, I don't think I have authority for it, let me go to the manager and I will come back. So he will go and he will come and say, oh, I'm so sorry sir, I tried all I can, I couldn't do. But maybe we can give 2 more months for service, free service. This is what you should do. You may have authority to do that, but you have to say, I don't have authority. Sometimes people have ego. They will say, I am the boss, I can do. That is the situation you have to avoid. So seventh one is silence. And silence is trickiest one. So you have to be silent. Let the other party speaks up. If they if they propose a offer also, you have to be silent. Maybe they will be let them think and let them increase their price or whatever they want. If you are in that, do counterpart us, repeat your last comment, ask her questions. Is that offer good for you, sir? Ask like questions like that, or else stare into his or her eyes. Excuse yourself for a phone call. You have to break this dynamic silence at that moment, okay? So that they will speak, or you have to make them speak. Eighth one is bundling. So I'm pretty sure everyone know this word combo. Combo is like, when you go to a restaurant, you'll see burger, french fries and a drink. Three will be as a combo. It might cost 150 rupees, but you want a burger and a drink, so it's 120 rupees. Oh, you might think fry is 50 rupees, but in combo they are giving 30 rupees. This is best, so you got everything, but you couldn't eat. But what your interest is, a burger and a drink, but they made you get a fries. This is bundling. Let them not know that you kept your, this is a just to sale. But if you are in counterpart, don't let it. Just know, stick with what you are interested. So chapter 4 is position, interest and currency and option. So you can see here, pick, right? Two chefs fighting over an orange. In first, both are saying, I want orange, I want orange. That is position based outcome. You have to be specific about that. So in second pick, see, one chef needs juice, one chef needs peel. So they are going to split it. So you have to think on the interest, not the position. And you have to find what their interest is also. So first you have to prioritize your interest. You should not look at what the price, what the value is going to be. You have to consider other factors as also. If you think price is more, you can have many more things to trade or exchange for. You can always explore other options. You have to identify multiple common ground between you and the other party. So concessions are currencies. They have so much value. If you are giving concession, just ask something in return. Do not let it do for free. And chapter 5, developing and using your plan B. Divya just said in Team Titans book review, always have plan B. Yes, it is true. You have to have plan B. Your plan B will make you give confidence. So you need plan B, plan C, plan D, whatever, until you need to achieve this. So you have multiple plans. So you have to know that if you are having plan B, of course the other party will also have plan B. So you have to find their plans. So you put yourself in their shoe, and you have to think what their best alternative will be. If you find that, diminish their plan B, not exploit. Just make your plan B better than that. So if you can't do that, walk away. No deal is better than a bad deal. You have to walk away from the deal. Don't accept for anything less. Just accept what your interest stands for. And now my friend Pavana will carry on from here.
Hello guys. Till now we have seen what are the negotiation tricks and what some advisors like always keep plan B and walk away if there is no deal as per our satisfaction. Now let us look into some key elements in which author focused in this book. He states a quote like necessity never made a good bargain. So when it comes to negotiating, people often feel powerless compared to people they are negotiating with. And one of the main reason will be like legitimate power, like which is usually associated with a position or office. When someone is going to negotiate and by looking at the appearance of the other person, maybe like he will be having an impressive title like manager, senior manager. He will be having luxurious conference room or like well established office room. Many other factors will affect the negotiate the people who is coming to negotiate. So author says like irrespective of all those legitimate things, maybe the counterpart can be a weak negotiator. So like don't let that particular thing enter into your mind and don't be afraid or be shy or whatever it may be. And also he says like only if there is two people negotiating, each individual will be knowing their uh, deadlines, sales target, and whatever the constraints they are facing and whatever the pressure they are undergoing. So we always don't know what the other person is facing. Usually people tend to estimate that okay, their own pressure and weakness is like much bigger than their counter partner. So they will assume that the counterpart has a stronger position. So authors suggest every individual who is going to negotiate is like ignore the trappings of power and focus on your interest. And then comes another important key element is expertise. So whenever we are going to negotiate, do extensive research, and it is more important source of power. Like whenever we have to negotiate, if we are expert in that particular area, then we have the more negotiating power. Author says with a beautiful example like when a man of 40 or 45 years old who is shifting from uh, paperwork to digital work, he don't know much about any gadgets or technical things, but he will take the help of other people, young people who know about them. So in this particular thing, there will be no issues like title or age or those factors will never interfere in that. If you are expert in that particular area, people are going to pay you and people are going to uh, think about that person as a potential person. So author says like if you are expert in particular area, if the other person who is coming to negotiate has already did research about you, he will be knowing about that your area of expertise. If not, let the other person know your area of expertise. Ask questions that shows high level of understanding. Use the appropriate jargon and make him realize that you are expert in that particular area. And another important key point which he says is like information. Collect as much as information you get before getting into the bargaining or negotiating. The more we know about counterpart, the subject of negotiation, industries, the more power of negotiation we'll be having. And he says, gather information before bargaining. A good negotiator would determine what are the needs, like why he is negotiating, what for he is negotiating. Then extensive research about the needs of the expectation. Like if I have to purchase some particular gadget, we'll have to do research like based on our price and ask all the dealers. Then go and have personal talk with dealers and list out which will be best available for us. Then only that particular good negotiator will move forward. Then he also says to be persistent. So initially, if our deal is not getting in our path, just don't compromise. Be persistent. Wait and wait till the answer no changes into yes. And he also says with example like when we were when we were at toddler age, like we badly wanted to get up and walk. It is not that all of a sudden one day we got up and we walked. Like we badly wanted to succeed, so we tried until we started walking. So by studying this example, he says like if you really wanted to win at the negotiation, just be persistent. This and this chapter 6 is full of these key elements which will help us to be a good negotiator. So let us move into chapter 7 by 3. Next slide. Then chapter 7 is full of another key aspect of negotiation. It's all about communication and relationship issues. Now in this era, everything is like if we look into 20 or 30 years, like everything, like one company will own only one product. It won't collaborate with other companies to promote or to sell, to enter to the market with other companies' products. Now everything became interdependent. So being interdependent requires collaboration, for which relationship is kind of foundation. And to build a good relationship, communication is heart of that relationship. So author also says like window of opportunity. So whenever we are going to negotiating with some people, it is not that we will be knowing that people for a long time. So that will be the first time, or maybe couple of times we might have met, but we never spoke. So like at that point of time, we will form first impression. So author says like use whenever you get the opportunity, use it. We will get very narrow opportunity at that time. Use that. That is termed as window of opportunity. And also it says like communicate properly. Use very simple language. Don't use like complex language which may feel the other person feel out of place, or like some uneasiness where he can't understand. And he also says be proactive about avoiding miscommunication. If you feel whatever you're saying is leading to miscommunication, stop it, ask them is there any doubt, or correct it then and there. And he also says to pay to attention to non-verbal communication. Make yours. He author says like first of all make yourself free and comfortable. Then also ensure the other person is also comfortable. If there is, because since it is win-win negotiation, we can't just go ahead with our preferences or our needs. We also have to value them. So don't give any chance to have miscommunication or problems in between people. He says like build good relationship, develop trust, share information. And some of the tips which author gives is like decide on the image to project before going to the negotiation or bargaining. Decide what you wanted to project there, like how you wanted to be, what are the things you wanted to discuss. And don't be shy, or don't be you don't know what to do. Don't be in that mindset. Be confident. Use a firm and friendly handshake. Use a confident voice. And always keep your opening line ready. And don't wait until the other person starts the bargaining. You start and make the first move. It also says to be professional in this book. Next chapter comes with all about emotions in negotiation. Gayatri, next slide. Emotions, like whenever we speak, wherever we go, we always carry emotion part with us. So author says emotions is a contagious, and whenever we are speaking, we should be able to control our emotions. Like he says, good negotiator will always manage just negative emotions and do not provoke them in others. But instead, very tactical, he will display positive emotions, which helps in building trust and making deals. And positive emotions are like joy, confidence, fun. These positive emotions encourages cooperation, supports win-win outcomes. Negative emotions, anger, fear, embarrassment, it tries to stimulate competitive impulses. Some people will become defending, so it may cause to win-lose negotiation type. So the author mainly focuses on two type of emotions: anger and fear. Anger usually it is known as ugly emotion, but author also says like it is a protective emotion. So like it serves to protect us against some perceived threat. So if there is a potential threat, if I am if I am negotiating, if I feel like there is a threat, of course I will get angry. Author says like control that and wait till your anger cools down and try to incorporate that in our daily life. And if the same thing, if our opponent or if our counterpart is getting anger, wait till his emotional storm has stopped, and then encourage him to share his thoughts and listen attentively. And only after his emotional storm is stopped, until and unless don't speak. keep quiet so that we both will be getting positive outcome. Then comes fear. Fear is of four types: fear of unknown, fear of loss, fear of failure, and fear of rejection. So fear of people come to shape without any preparation, or they don't know what is the process and they don't know what will be the uncertain outcomes. So what will be the solution for that is learn as much as we can, learn about the negotiation, about the topic, about the thing what we are going to do, and also develop a strong plan B. If we don't know, take the help of your teammates, discuss it with them, get a broad idea of what we are going to do. Then comes fear of loss. Fear of loss will happen only if the particular person has strong aversion to risk. Some people will be feeling in positive ways. If there is off chance of winning, also some people will move ahead, but it won't happen with everyone. So he says like for that to prepare extensively to combat the fear of loss. So in this fear of loss is like tangible fear, and intangible there is like fear of all those investment money and whatever it may be, but still some people will be happy if it fails. So for this also says come with fully preparation, and also always keep plan B. And also some people will have a fear of rejection, like what if someone says no on their face. So people can't take it easily. So it's just like if someone is saying no, take it as an opportunity. Ask like why not, and what are the alternative ways available for the thing. With till these things we have dealt with how to make a deal, how to come to a win-win negotiation. Then after now, what is after getting a deal? Okay, we have verbal agreement like okay, we will be okay with this. Okay, this is the outcome I will be getting. This is the benefit I will be getting. So after this, author says like always draft agreements or send a memo, prepare a memo then and there. Always make a handwritten notes for whatever the things we are agreed. This is like usually people may forget off of the thing whatever they have discussed. This will be good for both the parties. And he says be aware of nibbles. Nibbles is like if we are going to a big shop, they will be giving us complimentary bag or complimentary thing if they are purchasing for certain price. So he says like be aware of nibbles. Some people intelligently they will ask at last time, okay, we have settled for this, please can you provide me that as extra, like extra service, or can you attach me with this, like that. So he says like be aware of that, it is a request for concession. So if we can't, people can also reply like okay, I can add that with this much price amount, or you can say like no, I have to ask my higher authorities. Then after these things, we have to be aware of post-settlements. This is a settlement that is agreed to after the parties reach their initial agreement. So in case once the initial agreement is done, we will try to take it forward. So if we couldn't take it forward, then we have to, both parties has to remain in effect as per the PSS. So like that is the initial agreement which will remain in effect if the parties are unable to reach a better agreement. So what if things get ugly? Like what if both the parties couldn't follow the agreement or couldn't involve in the agreement? So there are three ways to get out of it, like litigation. Litigation is like legally following legal procedure, hire a lawyer, put a case in court and follow all those procedures. Author says like keep this litigation for last. Either we have to go for mediation or arbitration. In mediation, third party will be listening to, third party will come out of court settlement and we will be settled with certain things. If that is also not possible, we can go with arbitration. In arbitration, only the thing is experts, the third party will be in the experts in the particular field. So author says like these three things are the things we can go if there is no follow up of the agreement. Then he says like more win-win negotiating wisdom. This is like additional thing for us. So he says like framing issues can be a problem for us once there is a agreement. So like in this example only we can see like for a yogurt can, if there is like 20% fat, people often tend not to purchase that thinking that it contains 20% fat. But in the same can, if people wrote it as 80% of fat free, people will choose that because they will think, okay, this is fat free, only 20% like that. And also, it's like representing people. If we represent something as 1% of world population, people will just think, okay, only 1%, that doesn't matter. So if that 1%, if you mention it like 150 million or some in numbers, people will really understand the impact of that. It says like avoid framing issues, like try to frame well. Also, it says this will influence the way others interpret and respond to the situations, and like make it easy for them to say yes. Like give them chances, ask them questions, respond to them, so that if we are asking something, like they should uh, all they should almost try to say yes. And also it says like concessions, like if they are always if they are providing us with something, we will also have to provide them something. It is not that we can just take and go. And he also says in this particular chapter that avoid personal attacks, and he says to use more assertive sentences. If someone is offering with so high price, say them like, we can't just say like that this price is too high. It may make that person feel offended, or he may feel like a sudden insult. So we can say like, I feel this is quite high price. So like it will be turned into an opinionated sentence. So these are the things which we could learn from this book. And if you people are really interested in learning negotiating skills, I strongly recommend you all to go through this book. And what we liked in this book is like it is a collection of small ideas and behaviors which we encounter in our daily life. So it is very easy to understand and also to apply. And also it says like the language is very simple, and the book is also a very small book, consists of 200 pages. So I think people, you really have to give it a thought of reading this book. And what I don't like in this book is like there are some what to say, like there is some signs and all, they have not mentioned it properly. Maybe it will become difficult to interpret. Maybe the in what context author has written, we may end up in interpreting it in different context. Thank you for listening, guys. Any queries?
Pavana, is there any connection between influencing and negotiation?
Yes, Akka. Like when you're going to negotiate, so the way you're speaking, the way you're treating people will often make them to listen to you and accept your proposal. Like if you're just going and asking them like as if we don't care them, that will have a negative influence on that person, which will definitely affect our negotiation deal. So emotions, influence, everything is all interrelated when we are going for negotiation. So we have to be consciously aware of all our thoughts, in all our body language, and the way we speak, the way we treat the people, the way we look at them, the way we keep eye contact. All these things really matter when we are going for negotiation.